AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. The AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's Archer After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Archer After Show.
Hello there, Archer watchers.
Yo, yo, yo.
What's going on?
What up?
So lovely to have you back. Bing is for doing. We're here doing another episode of AfterBuzz for Archer.
That's what we do.
This most recent title being in a language I can't quite pronounce.
Chien Tangerine.
Sure, we'll go with that. It is episode 10 of season 4, so we are slowly ticking towards the end there. And oh, it's such a mix of feelings. Anyways, hey everyone, I am Greg Goodness.
I'm John Barrett.
Guys, I'm Dave Klein.
What's up? I'm Scott Moore.
And we actually have a special guest in the studio tonight, Tristan Pastrick. He is from Incredible Crew over on Cartoon Network. He's a big fan of the show. Decided to come in, say hi, chat it up with us, and we're super excited to have you, man.
Thanks.
Say hi to the people, Tristan.
Hi, people.
We've got the live studio audience applauding, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There they are. Live studio audience.
Yeah.
I just have to say right off the bat, I am a huge fan of this episode.
Love it.
Love it.
Likewise.
How about you, man? You on board?
You know, I thought it was really funny. I guess Archer doesn't really do a lot of stuff with animals, so it was really different.
Yeah, it was crazy to actually see that dog in full motion. A giant, mega, huge, floppy
Some
dog.
sort of mastiff.
Slobbery, and we also got to see an entirely different side of Archer because of that.
Yeah.
Who knew he had such a soft side?
We've seen it before with an ocelot. But, you know, ocelot's a little more violent.
Yeah.
Can't really hang out with them as much as I understand it. Never been around an ocelot, so I don't know firsthand. But a dog seems to be like it's a little more accommodating to Archer's style.
Yeah. Especially a big, slobbery dog. That thing was like, Chief, is that the dog's name in Sandlot? I don't know. The dog in Sandlot. The Beast. That's what it was.
Well, also, especially a dog that's very first move is to jump on top of Lana's breasts. That would also have a very Archer similarity there.
Yeah. He and Archer were going to get along from the very beginning. He jumps right on Archer's breasts and then right into, Lana's breasts and right into Archer's crotch.
There were some things I missed
right
in this
into his
episode,
heart.
apparently.
Lana needs to stop opening doors with those breasts, because last episode we have someone kick her in them, and now this episode, the dog.
But what's weird is that dog, as much as they share an affinity for Lana's lady parts, as you will have it, not a big fan of guns. And you'd think that Archer would be turned off by that, but
he really doesn't like guns, as Archer pointed out.
opposite to tracked, I guess. Fun to have them. Beautifully animated, too.
I think this is one of my favorite visual things they've done on this show. Just the realism with which the dog folds all like moved. The slobber as it fell onto Lana was so beautifully rendered.
Yeah, that's a good point. I noticed that when he was puking on them, actually, in the car.
It was very realistic.
Well, you know, as much as it can get. Yeah, it was different,
great
too.
animation.
Yeah, I like that.
And Kazakh had a wide range of emotions there. As Archer constantly said, he was trying to be human.
Or at least he was, thinks he was saying.
Yeah, he thinks he's
he
people.
thinks he is.
Archer thinks that Kazakh thinks he's people.
Or vampires, depending on if he's tearing a guy's throat out.
Oh, that's right. He ate that guy by the throat.
Because he was holding the gun.
And speaking of tangerines. A lot of fart jokes in this episode. It was pretty much just non-stop throughout the episode. Even like a little off topic, even like Pam had throw one in there.
Yes, that's right.
Pam throws one in there. I think the opening image is Archer laying on the bed naked, farting. The dog is constantly farting in that car.
Yeah. Wow, eating all that street food.
Yeah.
Again, nice realism there.
I know, that's what happens when you're in Morocco. Now we know. If you want to treat someone to a very special treat, eat the street food in Morocco.
Right.
Special treat.
Do you guys know what kofta is?
No. Are you going to fill us in?
I will fill you in.
Dope.
They have it at the street carts in like Egypt and things, and when I had it, it was like just ground up meat and like some spices and stuff that they just ground up and put into like hand rolls, and you eat it.
I bet it tastes delicious.
It sounds great.
But
Bet
it's also
it fills
in
you
hands.
with farts.
It's made by their hands. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
It's probably similar to Indian food. Like I imagine the spices are, which is really good, but also makes you fart. So, hey,
Tristan,
what do you know?
When we were describing what that is, your eyebrows raised up in either a look of sheer joy or horror, and I wasn't quite sure which one it is. Either that's the best thing you've ever heard or the worst thing.
It was both. Flatulence is very common. So, but the meat that sounded good.
Yeah,
Looked
right.
like kofta.
See, I thought you were raising your brows because you just had that before you came.
I did.
And you were unleashing a
now we're
fart
in a
onto
studio
us.
in a closed room.
Yeah, that's what the look really was a look of like, I've got a surprise for everybody here.
You wait about 30 seconds.
This was an episode, too, that we would have been perfectly fine having Kazakh in an earlier season, like season 1 or 2. But we've been talking a little bit about how the animation has been really stepping up its game this season. And I'm so glad that they waited to introduce this until this season because, like we were talking about, every little ruffle and fold on that dog's face really just came alive.
The way the tongue moved when he was, like, panting was so realistic. And, oh, man, I am in awe. I love dogs, and I want Kazakh to be my dog.
I was just watching last night with my roommate the Hellboy animated movie, and watching that made me realize just how incredible the animation of Archer is because that was so poorly animated in comparison. But it really is a beautifully animated show that has been upping it.
You get used to, you kind of just get used to watching it every week, and you don't realize that they really have upped their game and they put a lot into it.
And especially with like the 3D car movements too. But it was something where like I was watching that movie, I was just like, oh, that's right. Animation can suck. I kind of forgot. So it's been great lately.
Yeah, and this is a little bit off the topic we're talking about, but also the way the backgrounds were drawn and illustrated and animated was so beautiful. Just because, the backing of Tangiers, it's like just a beautiful city to look at to begin with, and it was really, really well done in this episode.
I don't think that's off topic at all, though, because you have this beautiful sort of like static background, right? And it's really dark and grimy. And then you have just this stupid floppy dog just slobbering everywhere. It's like, oh yeah, the rustic old world beauty of it. It's a perfect contrast.
On the chat, Lions fan mentions this was a funny episode of Archer. When I heard those fart jokes, I was laughing so hard that I was almost crying. And watch our base respond. I can't go wrong with fart jokes. No, I think
you never can.
And very much so, according to Seth MacFarlane, I think he would agree.
Yes.
Hey,
Well, I think it's universally accepted as fact that the greatest scene in cinema history is the cowboy bean scene in Blazing Saddles.
Right.
Which is just a 5-minute long fart scene.
Okay, I'm gonna get a little crude for a moment, but bear with me. My roommate, one of my previous roommates, told me the secret to why farts are so funny.
Oh, good.
It's because it makes a loud noise, it smells, and the sound is produced from the flapping of your butt cheeks hitting together.
But you're missing a crucial
Think about
element. You're missing a crucial element of that comedy gold factor was that it has to come from a big, adorable, floppy dog.
That really does add to it.
This is probably the most crude episode of AfterBuzz we've done, and I'm glad to bring that to the table.
Oh man. Speaking of
Expect
crude,
nothing less when it comes
crude and rude. You know who else is crude and rude? And let's be honest, a little
Flatulent.
Flatulent. Pam, who is now. Oh my God, she is a field agent. She is out there and she is working alongside Archer and Lana.
Well, she's trying to be.
Yeah, she took her IFAB. I mean, that was fantastic.
I just want to say, I don't know why that had never come up in our predictions. I don't know why we never thought, oh, Pam field agent. And I'm mad at all of us. We
I'm mad
should
at
all
you.
do better.
We slacked there.
You know-
I just guessed because she was the HR professional. I
Yeah.
was like, she's never going to go out in the field.
It's because she
being in the home office.
She also seems so happy and content with her job and gossiping about everybody constantly. That I was like, oh, she seems happy. Not like that she would want to be a field agent per se. But I think my favorite moment in that whole thing with Pam was actually Krieger yelling out "smoke bomb" and throwing nothing and running away. Because my friends and I do that, but you wouldn't expect that in a show,
Right.
which just makes it all that much better.
Yeah.
I also love that she spent 38 minutes beating the crap out of mostly Cyril and Ray, but 2 or 3 minutes of that 38 were also spent beating up Krieger,
Who ran away.
who got scared and ran away. So sue me.
And you know what? It's actually even more impressive that she beat up Ray because he is now a cyborg.
Yeah, he's queen of the
Yes.
robots.
Queen of the robots. So it actually makes it even more impressive.
Oh yeah, for real. And it makes total sense though.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, like
I mean, she has Lord Byron's "Destruction of Sennacherib" tattooed on her back.
And
That's the name of the poem, by the way, guys.
Okay.
I looked that up.
Good to know.
Yeah.
We've been seeing it in all these past seasons, though, and I know, Tristan, you were saying that you were watching some of the past seasons recently. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I watched it all except for, well, no, I see, I've pretty much seen them all when they were rolling out, but Netflix just now got the third
Yep.
season in too, so I went back and I kind of watched them all again, and I get a lot of what you're saying about the animation too, where it came from the first scene because I just watched that. But you know, talking about Pam, she's always, even in the first, or maybe it was the second or third season, I can't remember, but whenever she fights, you know, she's very,
she wins.
exactly.
She's dirty.
Bitches.
And I never thought of it like she would become a field agent too.
Yeah.
You know, I get what you're saying about she was very comfortable. She never mentioned it. You know, she never wanted to be a field agent until now. But it doesn't surprise me at all that she would pass her IFABs.
That's a good point, though. That it is weird that she never mentioned it before.
But bringing up and bouncing off of what Tristan said, another thing though is that this is actually the first episode I can think of where she lost her fight.
Yeah,
That's right.
She
that's
lost
true.
her fight.
Yeah,
which is
that's right. In whatever that ring of the
like what is it, like homeless fighting?
Whatever
or?
the fighting. I mean, she's been doing that the whole time.
Well, she has, but we've never actually seen her lose.
Yeah,
I
which is a good
know.
point because she mentioned how she didn't have any money because she had lost.
Yeah,
so.
she was broker than usual.
I have to ask, because maybe I just didn't pick up on it. Do we know who defeated her? Who that striped tube sock
See,
gentleman
I
is?
was looking for that, but the only shot that I really noticed, it was kind of just half of his body from behind, so you couldn't really tell who it was.
Hairy legs, striped tube socks.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out for it for the rest of the season, because we're gonna see that. I'm sure he's a
I
new
hope
villain.
so.
Yeah. But she lists all of her qualifications. She can fight like crazy. She can take out 3 fairly well-trained gentlemen.
Maybe one well-trained gentleman and then 2 insane gentlemen.
That's true.
Which is
She drove with the Yakuza for a while.
yeah.
You know what? I think that Pam's holdup would be at first, and maybe I'm wrong and I misheard something, but I thought she said, "Can you seduce somebody?" And I think that has to do with. You look at Archer and you look at Lana, and they very much look at like your stereotypical gorgeous secret agent from any secret agent movie, and Pam looks nothing like that. So I think that would be a holdup for Mallory, because I think that might be a basis of Mallory's hiring.
That's a good point. But she's one of the people we've seen have sex with the most people. I think she's.
Oh no, she has.
you
But
know,
I'm looking at Mallory's perspective though.
Understood.
Also,
I think Mallory was involved with a 3-way with her, though. Remember? That was season 2, right?
And also, if that's the gauge of what's a good or bad agent, everyone else at ISIS is sleeping around. So if anything, Pam is just excelling at what everyone else is already doing.
Yeah.
She is excelling. That's true. That's a good point. But every single thing.
But again, going back to what I was saying earlier too, she's kind of fights dirty. She gets what she needs to get done, and so I think that is also a plus for her if she was going to go out in the field. She's not going to be.
That'd be
around.
Cool to see. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
They're going to put her in a situation where she has to deal with sensitive information.
Yeah, and then there's a problem.
Yeah.
Ah, good point.
That's a good point. However, back to the seduction point, let's just remember that Archer said that the best sex he's ever had was with Pam.
Right. That's true. That was the end of last season.
Yeah.
We had Lions fan on the chat saying that it shocked him how Pam lost her fight. His impression from watching the episode, she's kicking butt and taking names, and her opponent looks strong and intimidating, but just shocked that she lost.
It's the first one, and a weird place to introduce it, too, that she is now going to be an agent, but we've seen her weaker side, too.
Yeah.
She's not invulnerable, or maybe that's on purpose. They need to set it up that she's not going to be
there's a reason
the
behind
Iron Man of ISIS, just knocking over bullets on her way down the hallway. I don't know. I'm excited to see what the future brings with Pam as a field agent, personally.
Me dose.
Oh.
Speaking of the future.
What about the future?
Let's
Is that
go
it's
back.
scary and intimidating? To the future.
Well, I see some love action in someone's future. We see Archer here actually almost said out loud that he still has feelings for Lana.
Some pretty powerful feelings.
That was great too. The way they cut it off, right?
Yeah, right before he finishes saying it, because the dog is bringing all of this out of him. I mean,
Bring out his sensitive side a little bit.
If you put me in a car in the middle of the desert with an adorable big slobbery dog, I'm gonna admit every feeling I have.
See, I thought this was an episode for learning things about Archer, but apparently this is an episode for learning things about our fellow co-host, John. I've learned so many things about you tonight. You know what? It's funny, though, because last episode, I feel like we almost got to see a lot of Lana starting to have feelings for Archer again.
Yeah.
So now this episode, immediately following it, is Archer starting to have feelings, or at least expressing that he has feelings for Lana again.
It's complicated feelings.
It is.
Also, when he pulls the microfilm off the dog, she has a moment where she's like, "Oh God, is he proposing to me?"
Yeah.
So there's something happening.
Yeah, there's definitely
like trouble brewing in this little. This is what trouble brews like, by the way, folks.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
As long as you're watching on the YouTube.
Yeah, if you're just listening, I just did a really awesome thing that looks exactly like trouble brewing.
Another thing I wanted to point out was right after he revealed that it wasn't a ring, she socked him. So
Yeah.
you know,
That's a good point.
Maybe there's something behind that. I don't know. Maybe I took that a different way, but
No. There's it's kind of been that thread all. Well, I mean, throughout the whole series, but I mean, really, this season they've really kind of brought that up again a lot in each episode, and I felt like again this episode brought a lot. Like you're saying about Archer and his background, and speaking of that with the dogs, it was interesting to see, you know, the way his mom was treating the family dog that we never really saw before. Maybe there was some favoritism there, or there was, you know,
the chariot ride
through Central Park in a horse-drawn carriage for the dog's birthday,
And all of the presents, and Archer having to clean this chimney.
And I love how when he was on the phone with her, they didn't really spell it out, but she did ask. She's like, "Is this about the dog?" Or she knew instantly that she had done that to him. You know.
Yeah, so it was a nice way of being able to see again another side of him from his childhood and kind of get to know a little bit more about him and maybe why he is the way he is now. You know, kind of that because of what he had to deal with as a kid.
And it was a little. I think it was a nice touch that they threw, and she did tell him in the end that she was just taking the dog to the vet. You know, which is usually she's very hard on him, and that's that. But she did reveal that in the end, which gave it a softer touch, I thought.
Yeah, that's a good note.
Everyone's sort of letting through a softer touch.
I also-
Archer is sort of opening up.
Yeah.
Lana opens up as she's about to die in the middle of a desert. And Mallory finally admits that maybe she does have some tiny remote corner of her heart that actually cares about her only son.
I think it's nice to see because especially 4 seasons in, they're finally starting to kind of evolve the show and evolve the characters. And I mean, I'm sure I could watch Archer and all the jokes without that, but it always is nice to start having character arcs. I mean, like Futurama is a good example. I could watch that show on and off anytime, but I do enjoy those character arcs. And it's nice that they're introducing this to Archer.
It is, and kind of getting to know about them later as the characters are developing as we move through the seasons. And I thought it was great, and I really love to see that sensitive side tonight. I thought that was great.
I also want to point out one more thing about the Archer Lana future, which is that immediately when the idea of Lana getting hurt entered his head, his first thing was, and then I'll have to marry her out of guilt. So he's sort of, no matter what, he's thinking about, he wants to put a ring on it.
And then she's going to be paraplegic, and then I'm not going to want to be with her anymore.
Yeah, and then after 4 years of two...
Because he has needs.
The 20-year-old Brazilian nurse, because he can't deal with it anymore.
And she's sweating, and...
Kazakh has to understand that. He knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Kazakh knows all.
He does.
He vomits on everybody to make points.
I feel like that should be one of those old-timey Russian slogan propagandas. Is Kazakh knows all. Just that dopey face.
Look, he just wants to ride on the hovercraft. I think that was what I got out of the episode. Everybody just wanted to ride the hovercraft.
Yeah, I know. I felt a little let down that they actually didn't get to go back and ride on the hovercraft.
I did think, I was like, oh, cool, a hovercraft.
Yeah.
Roadblock.
Oh, a literal roadblock.
I threw up too. You guys, I'm glad you guys missed that and weren't watching us watch because I threw up all over everybody. Tristan, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
He is literally wearing a different shirt than he was wearing while we watched because I threw up on his shirt.
Yeah, we're all covered in his throw up. So iTunes.
Are you going to transition out of that?
That was a great segue there.
I know I'm not like Greg with my perfect segues here. iTunes, guys.
iTunes. It's a good place. You can go there. You can listen to stuff.
It probably won't make you throw up.
Probably not.
No.
Unless you have a really, really specific illness.
Unless you listen to the Brown Noise podcast featured by AfterBuzz.
AfterBuzz Brown Noise Podcast. Check it out. In the podcast section of iTunes, you can find our little deal here. And you can rate and comment on them, which we always appreciate. Let us know how we're doing. Help us keep the lights on. Help us be what you want us to be.
Yeah. And it doesn't take that long. It only takes a minute, a second out of your day. Just do what we're doing, which is praising ourselves and lavishing ourselves.
And learning about John together.
That's right.
Yes.
And also make sure you go check out the YouTube as well. Please comment, rate us positive or negative. We just want to know what we can do to make the show better. Or go to AfterBuzzTV.com, 9:30 p.m. on the Pacific time, and join the live chat. And we'll be interacting with you guys. We'll read your comments out and definitely come join us. Have a blast with Archer.
Yeah, Dave is super good about getting out and reading as soon as those come down the pipeline. It's we get them on air. So you never know, guys. You never know. Give us a shout out. We'll give you some love.
And say something mean about Greg.
Obviously.
Please. I mean, that's what we have to do. We have to have someone else do it for once.
Yeah, come on. This guy sucks.
So no more mean things. Let's talk about nice things. Like we said, we have a very special guest in the studio tonight. Tristan Pastrick, everybody. Hello.
Let's get a round of applause, audience.
Yeah.
We got a lot of excited studio audience here tonight.
Tristan is very involved in comedy. He's working on Incredible Crew over on Cartoon Network, which airs Thursday nights.
So
very cool.
You can
show.
watch it first and then tune in Archer after.
Yeah, it's very cool because we keep hearing our opinions week after week and our circling, babbling nonsense. But like, what drew you to Archer?
Glad that's the circle you went with.
Thank you. What originally drew you to Archer? Like, what is it about the comedy that you enjoy?
Honestly, I watch FX all the time, so it's when it was first coming out, I thought, oh, that's cool. FX doesn't really have any animated shows, so I thought that would that's got to be really cool. So I tuned in, and I love Bond, and to me it's just a big Bond parody.
Yeah,
right.
So. That's what it is. So that's what really drew me to it in the beginning, and I followed it ever loosely. Same way with like Futurama. It's kind of hard with some shows, and when they get up here and they have so many episodes, it's hard to stay with it. But for the most part, I've been really good about it. It's one of my favorite shows. So
it's also helpful when it's on Netflix, at least for me, and you can actually go back and watch it a little bit easier.
The only problem with me is I do like to watch it as soon as possible, so people don't talk about it.
Ruin it for you.
You know what happened? This season. Well, like with Walking Dead, I was a bit behind for a while. And everyone, as soon as something happened in season 3. Everyone was on Facebook and Twitter about it. Thanks, because I'm 4 episodes behind. It ruined it for me. So especially lately, I've been trying to keep up a lot. But Netflix,
as part of the Walking Dead AfterBuzz, you're welcome for ruining it for you.
But Netflix gets seasons kind of late sometimes.
Yeah,
shows. So I've been having to. I've been switching cable providers to whoever gets. Certain channels
Gotcha.
so gets their on-demands.
We don't have to name names.
No.
That's totally fine. That's a good point, though, because we sort of take for granted. We come in week after week, and we know exactly what's going on. And we sometimes lose sight of the fact that we get so involved in the nitty-gritty of each episode. We forget that there really are these big arcs of the season, and there are these big developments that you don't always want ruined for you if you're like a few episodes behind.
And I had some huge ones ruined for me.
Oh, like what?
With Walking Dead. I mean, specifically, dude, I'm so sorry for anyone that doesn't.
Wait, no, let's not bring this up, considering I know what you're talking about.
All right, cool, perfect. Yeah, I didn't want to, but something in the first few episodes of season 3 that was really, really big, and I'm sure everyone knows.
It was even a surprise for the comic readers, which I am. I was like, what?
Well, exactly, yeah. And so for for me, I was like, really? That just, that turned me off of even, watching it, because I'm like, well, I already know the big thing that's going to happen. So, it's difficult when the world around you is watching every episode of everything, and you don't have time. Or
especially now.
Difficult having a job.
So that's what I'm saying, when you're actually working and doing things, but especially now when people are tweeting it and Facebooking it, and not even just telling you your face, but you're just seeing it everywhere before you don't even want to see it, but...
That's exactly what happens too. It's in person too, because when you know people in the industry and stuff. Everyone down here is so everyone's always talking about what's new on TV, what's new in movies, and whatnot. So even if you're not on Twitter, because I'm not on Twitter and Facebook all that much, it's not my thing exactly, but. When I do use it, people are talking about that stuff. Then when I am in person, people are talking about that stuff. So there's no way to avoid it. So you just got to watch every show every night, and that's your life.
Tristan, you'll appreciate this. I was on StarCraft, and this was back when Harry Potter was coming out, and I was a huge Harry Potter fan. Got the book the day it came out, and then I took a break after reading 400 pages to play some StarCraft, and then I was on. Someone wrote in bold letters as the game that you join, so-and-so dies in Harry Potter book 7. I was like... I just wanted to take a break.
Safe.
Why?
That's horrible. That's so terrible. Where do you go if not StarCraft?
People are the worst. People are the worst.
Is mean.
Yes.
Well, you were talking earlier about how you got to watch everything, you got to stay very connected. Your show that you do, Incredible Crew, a little more kid-friendly than most of what's on Archer. But, I mean, do you find any parallels between the humor of what you're doing versus what's coming up on Archer? Or?
You know what? I think I do. It's not exactly... it's not exactly that it's just for kids, our show. I think, there's a lot of...
I mean, Adventure Time's on Cartoon Network, and that's the best show ever.
Exactly. So there's a lot there that you really just have to look for. And I'll say, a lot of people don't realize it at first, but if you sit there and you watch, even sometimes when I'm reading the scripts, I'm like, I don't quite understand this. And as I keep doing it, I'm like, oh, it's a reference to this movie, or it's something about this, or got it. So, at that point, I think it's actually kind of fun to sit there, even if you think, a lot of people think they're too old for shows on Cartoon Network or whatever, but I think it's really cool if you sit there. I have a lot of friends and family that I've had watch it just for support, and they'll come and tell me like, oh my gosh, it's so smart, I didn't realize that you guys are making jokes about movies that were made in the 80s and or like it was so long ago.
And the other thing that I noticed is that there's definitely, while this is super adult, there's a sort of absurdist element to what you guys are doing that pops up in Archer a lot. So.
It does. And I think anyone, it doesn't really matter if it's a kid or an adult or it's a teenage, anywhere, anyone can be at that level of insanity, and that in itself is funny. And there's, again, with the parallels, I mean, Archer, this episode, like 30 fart jokes in it, or at least, farts. Our show, you'll find a lot of, fart jokes in our show too. Even if they're not, as blatant as what we saw tonight, they're, there's fart jokes.
There. Oh, there.
Look for him. It'll surprise you.
You just give a little look, and that's all it is. That look that you gave us earlier in the studio. Watch out for that. But being that you do incredible crew on Cartoon Network, I know when I was just a lad, there were only cartoons on Cartoon Network, and this is one of the few shows that is actually live and shot live. What is that like to be on one of the live shows for Cartoon Network, or live action as opposed to a cartoon?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with me. It's time. Everyone's got to branch out. There's so many different things that people are a part of these days with the internet being so prominent in everyone's lives. Everyone's exposed to different things, and you know what? I think it's great that there's live action too. Yeah. Because they still have phenomenal cartoons. They have a whole channel that plays old cartoons for people that love old cartoons. They have their new ones, Adventure Time, regular show.
Show.
Exactly. And now they're branching out into live action, and I think our show especially. And I'm probably biased, but I think it's great because it's so fast paced, and I think a lot of people these days are used to watching YouTube and really quick shows and videos, whatever. Their entertainment, it just keeps coming in, and they can have something different every minute. And I think that's live action or not, our show is quick and it's fast paced, and it keeps people's attention because it switches. Every few minutes it's a whole new scenario with different characters and different people, so it's hard not to find something that you would enjoy.
Right. Well, that's just like Archer too. Because I mean, super fast paced, super rapid fire. To not a line wasted. You got to get out that joke. So I mean, I definitely see the parallels, man. Well, we got to wrap it up here. We're running over time, but before we do, we got to get that spooky theremin music. Come on, spooky theremin. Yes.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Why don't you say it? Say it.
Predict something.
Great. I think that we're going to see Pam get in over her head right away. I think there's going to be a mission that just totally throws her off kilter. That's my quick prediction.
Predict something.
I'm going to say the hairy-legged guy there that all we saw, he's going to come back later in the season. It's going to be part of the reason why she lost. So we're going to see something with that later.
Predict something.
I think we're going to see a future with the Archer Lana storyline. I think it's going to continue to arc out throughout the rest of the season.
You got a prediction for us? Predict something.
I think that maybe we'll have more animals in the show, or at least keep the ones we have now.
Predict something.
That happen.
I think we see Kazakh stay because he was so adorable.
You're stealing Tristan's prediction.
I think Barry was the guy who beat Pam.
All right.
Ooh. No, well, he has metal legs, doesn't he?
Yeah, those are pretty hairy legs.
Hairy metal legs.
Yeah.
Maybe, it's warmth for the metal.
Maybe Krieger gave him flesh implants.
Nice. Well,
that about does it for us.
Tell us where we can find you, Tristan.
Yeah.
You can watch Cartoon Network at 8, 7 Centrals on Thursday and catch Incredible Crew. You can follow me on Twitter at tpasteric and on Instagram under the same tag.
Right.
Rock and roll.
Fantastic.
Anyone want to start?
All right. I'm Scott Moore at SMan80. That's SMan80.
And my name is Dave Klein. You can find me on Twitter at at the Dave Klein. That's KLEIN, or on my website djk-online.com.
I'm Greg Goodness. I'm at Generic Maverick on the Twits.
I'm at John Barret on the Twitters.
Hey, again, Mr. Pasteric, thank you very much for coming in the studio.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. And thanks for listening, listeners. Catch us next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.